Hello, friends and fellow classic cinema devotees. Welcome back. Did you know Audrey Hepburn once said she found more serenity tending roses in her Swiss garden than stepping onto any Hollywood red carpet? Well, that garden was at La Paisible, the home she cherished for nearly 3 decades in Tolochenaz, Switzerland. Intrigued? Stick around, because we're about to step into the quiet magic of Audrey's most personal retreat, the place she called her anchor, a historic farmhouse turned peaceful sanctuary. If you love classic Hollywood stories or dream of owning a charming European hideaway, this tour is for you. Let's wind the clock back to the mid-1960s when Audrey Hepburn had already captured global hearts with films like Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Fame, though, came at a steep cost. Constant paparazzi, endless schedules, and life in a fishbowl. Audrey yearned for privacy and calm. She'd heard about the quaint villages along Lake Geneva, each offering panoramic views and a discreet way of life. When she first visited Tolochenaz around 1965, she felt an immediate connection, like she'd stumbled on a well-kept secret that whispered serenity. It didn't take long for her to purchase a centuries-old stone house she christened La Paisible, which means the peaceful one. At the time, Audrey was already a household name, but she sought a different kind of stardom, the peaceful day-to-day joys of a tranquil homestead. Here in Tolochenaz, no one hounded her for autographs every time she stepped out to pick up the mail. She could finally exhale, focusing on her marriage to Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dotti and nurturing her sons, Sean and Luca. Over the years, La Paisible became her touchstone, a realm where she could indulge her love for gardening, invite close friends, and relish the gentle Swiss countryside. Imagine a cozy farmhouse facade with muted stone walls and shutters in a soft, neutral hue. Historical records suggest the house dates back to the 18th century. Think wooden beams, a pitched roof, and a courtyard reminiscent of old Swiss estates. Though Audrey introduced modern amenities, the exterior remained lovingly traditional, blending seamlessly with the pastoral Tolochenaz skyline. Stepping inside, you'd enter a foyer with a simple elegance. The floors, possibly worn stone or polished wood, gently creaking underfoot. Audrey chose a subdued color palette, whites, creams, and gentle pastels. She had a slight flair for accent pieces, perhaps an antique mirror, a rustic side table, or personal memorabilia from her UNICEF travels. The living room was the heart of the home, bathed in natural light from French windows that overlooked the lawn. Casual yet refined furniture, a plush sofa with throw pillows, a well-worn armchair or two, and small side tables. Often there'd be a vase of fresh flowers from her garden. Minimal clutter, maximum warmth. Rumor has it, she kept family photos on a corner table featuring her sons, her close friends, and maybe an old snapshot with co-stars like Gregory Peck or William Holden. Adjacent, a dining area anchored by a wooden farmhouse table where Audrey served simple, delicious meals. She was no extravagant chef, but she'd slice up garden vegetables for soups or toss together a pasta dish. The vibe was intimate, perfect for heartfelt dinners rather than grand banquets. If we stroll upstairs, we might find the master bedroom done in comforting neutrals. Picture a canopy bed with crisp linens, a reading chair by the window for her nighttime script perusing or letter writing. On the dresser, a few cherished items, perfume bottles, some UNICEF brochures, perhaps a single rose in a small vase. Audrey's famed Oscars and BAFTAs were likely discreetly stored away. She never flaunted them in her living space. The real showstopper was the garden. Audrey once joked that she'd be happiest with some fresh soil under her nails, a trowel in hand, and a Yorkshire Terrier by her side. La Paisible boasted sprawling lawns, rose bushes, and a vegetable patch. She wasn't afraid of manual labor. Neighbors recall seeing her dig into the earth, laughing if the dogs scurried through the newly planted seeds. The formal garden was rumored to be symmetrical, with boxwood hedges and cunning pathways that led to little flower beds. She added her personal spin, mixing in colorful blooms, so each season displayed a different palette. Tulips in spring, vibrant geraniums in summer, softly muted dahlias in fall. If the morning dew wasn't too heavy, she'd stroll barefoot, watering can in hand. Behind the main lawn sat a small orchard with apple and pear trees. On weekends, Audrey and her boys might pick fruit for pies, or simply snack while gazing over Lake Geneva. The crisp Swiss air and distant mountains made for a living postcard. And yes, she'd sometimes host friends, like Hubert de Givenchy or her old Hollywood pals, to share this slice of Eden, serving tea outdoors under a parasol. Day to day, Audrey's routine here was refreshingly uncelebrity-like. She'd wake early, feed her dogs, and often slip into gardening clothes for a quick spin among her flowers. Afterwards, she'd come inside for breakfast, coffee, maybe a fresh croissant from the local bakery, jam from her orchard fruits. Mornings might be spent writing letters for UNICEF or reviewing film offers. In later years, she famously chose humanitarian work over frequent acting, traveling to remote corners of the world, but always returning to Tolochenaz to recharge. The property was also a haven for family gatherings. Her sons roamed freely, climbing trees or playing soccer on the lawn. Holiday season saw a handful of close friends or neighbors joining for a warm dinner. One can imagine flickering candles, Audrey's soft laughter, and the gentle chords of a piano in the background. Though she was a global icon, at La Paisible she was simply Audrey, a caring mother, a gracious hostess, a woman content in her own skin. There's a charming Easter egg story. Every Easter, she'd hide dozens of eggs for a backyard hunt, sometimes forgetting a few, leading to comedic, rotten egg surprises weeks later. Also, a local postman once caught Audrey digging in the veg patch wearing a large sun hat and couldn't believe this was the same star from breakfast at Tiffany's. She offered him a tomato straight off the vine. That's how down-to-earth she was. Audrey Hepburn peacefully spent her last days at La Paisible, passing away here on January 20th, 1993, after a battle with cancer. The town of Tolochenaz mourned the loss of their gentle neighbor. She's buried in the local cemetery just a short walk from the home she adored. After her death, the property transferred to her family, particularly her sons, Sean and Luca. They kept it private. Unlike some celebrity estates that become tourist attractions, La Paisible remains a closed gate, out of respect for Audrey's memory and the quiet Tolochenaz lifestyle. Officially, the property is not open to the public, so fans who trek there can only admire the entrance and share a respectful moment at her gravesite. There's no widely known listing or market value currently, although real estate whispers occasionally float around. It's said that if it ever hit the market, it'd fetch a handsome sum, think millions given the Audrey factor, and prime Swiss location. But that's speculation. Tolochenaz itself honors her with a small bust in the town square and a gentle hush whenever her name is mentioned. Longtime residents recall her daily strolls or that time she donated to a local children's cause. For many, La Paisible is simply Audrey's place, a living testament to her quiet grace. She might have been a star in big cities, but here she was family. La Paisible wasn't just a house. It was Audrey Hepburn's emotional sanctuary, reflecting the softer, nurturing side we rarely saw in paparazzi shots. The old stone walls, the orchard, the rose bushes, and that intangible hush speak volumes about who Audrey was at heart, a warm spirit cherishing simple joys. This property stands as a lens into her life. The mother, the humanitarian, the woman who favored daisies over diamonds. What about you, dear viewers? Does Audrey's Swiss retreat spark your own yearning for a peaceful countryside hideaway? Which detail about La Paisible surprised you the most? And do you think homes carry the essence of their famous occupants? Let us know in the comments. We're all ears. If you'd love to explore another celebrity's estate from Marilyn Monroe to Cary Grant, drop your suggestions below. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and never underestimate the power of a quiet garden to soothe a restless soul. Thanks for watching.